Hey, loves. So, I wanted to talk about there is a term that we use nowadays that indicates someone who is kind of needy and it's that person that's always in your inbox. They show up everywhere you go, they're always texting you, they just want all of your time. And that term that we use is thirsty. And we've turned it into such a negative word, but we're going to take it back and we're going to reapply it to what it needs to be. Because at the end of the day, we all need to be thirsty. But for what? That's the key. What are we thirsty for? You see, the woman at the well, she was thirsty. And her thirst led her to Yeshua. And then when she left, she was fulfilled. She was completely fulfilled. So much so that she forgot the water bucket that she had brought to draw water. And she went to tell everyone about a man that told me everything I ever did. Thirsty. Are you? That's what we're going to talk about today. All right, let's get into it. When I think about the idea of being thirsty in the context of this century, the slang term thirsty, oh, he thirsty, or she thirsty. And then when I apply it to my relationship with Yahweh, I don't see it in a negative way. In the secular world, we see it as, oh, they're always in our inbox, they're needy, they're always texting us, they show up everywhere we are. And it's kind of viewed as a negative and annoying thing. But then when you apply it to your relationship with Yahweh, it becomes so much more of a beautiful thing. Because if you're thirsty for him, then you're going to show up in his inbox all the time via your prayers and your supplication. You're going to follow him around everywhere he goes. You're always going to talk to him. You're always want to seek him out. You see, thirsty can be viewed in a very positive light depending on the object of your thirst. In this world, I can say, so many of us are thirsty for all the wrong things. We're thirsty for material, success, and blessings, riches, relationships. And let's be honest, most of the relationships that we are thirsting for are toxic and volatile and superficial. They're not healthy. We don't look for people, for mates that the ones that God wants us to have, that Yahweh wants us to have. We don't seek him out and ask him who he wants us to be with. We go out and we find our own spouse. We have this thing called our type. And I'm going to be honest with you. My type has led me down all the wrong avenues. So I don't want my type anymore. I want whomever Yahweh has for me. And this is just going back to the thirst. I am thirsty for him. Like a deer panteth for the water, so my soul thirsts for you. I promise you. It has gotten to the point where I don't even want to be around people. Not in a negative way, but I just enjoy my time with him and him pouring into me and just me listening. Something I really didn't do too much of before. I didn't listen. I heard him, and when I would hear him, I would respond. But this time I am intentionally paying attention to the things that he's showing me, to the things that he's speaking to me, and to his heart's desire. And it has made me a better person for it. Because when I have learned to thirst for him to the point where I am now solely focused on what he wants, what he desires, what he's asking, it actually has caused me to be that same way with other people. You know, something that I have known for a while but never put it into practice is you learn how to be a better spouse, parent, sibling, coworker, boss, so on and so forth, by first learning how to be a child to Yahweh. When you get that relationship right, all your other relationships will fall into place. Every last single one of them. It's forcing me, in a good way, to take the focus off of me and what I want and what I need and so on and so forth. You know, this world has kind of made us into narcissists. It is so many narcissists in the world nowadays. And the thing about it is, I know someone listening was like, "Oh, I'm not a narcissist." Yeah, you are. Because think about how many times you have said, "I'm only going to love those who love me. I'm only going to serve those that serve me. I'm only going to support those who support me." That's narcissistic. Because what you're saying is, I am only going to love on those that I can benefit from. That's what a narcissist does. They feed off of other people like energy vampires. But when you become thirsty for Yahweh, he shows you how to flip the switch and serve. It's no longer about you, but it's about him, which ultimately benefits the ones that you encounter, because you've learned how to put you on the back burner in order to help that person. Because here's the thing that a lot of people know, but they don't want to really walk it out. And I've been guilty of this. Whenever you stand in need of something, if you go and you assist someone else that has that same need, 9 times out of 10, you'll receive your blessing from that. And I'm not saying do things to receive blessings. So let me go ahead and get that straight, because that's manipulative. What I mean is, for instance, if you need clarity on something and you pray about it and Yahweh doesn't speak immediately, and then someone else comes and they need counseling on anything, it doesn't even have to be the same topic, but because you're not selfish and you take the time to hear their need and you allow yourself to be the vessel, the mouthpiece for Yahweh in that moment, as you begin to speak, sometimes, almost all the time, as a matter of fact, what he has you say to that person will be the answer that you asked him for. You see how that works? It was that moment of you setting yourself aside in order to be there for someone else that Yahweh said, "Okay, here you go. I'm going to throw a little extra on there for you." He's awesome in that way. And you know, I have thirsted in my past for love, and I never attained it. Not truly. I attained the world's version of love, which is tolerance and lust, but never true love until my relationship with Yahweh. I thirsted for success until I realized that success means absolutely nothing if I'm not right in the eyes of Yahweh. I thirsted for attention until I got the wrong attention. And then I was like, whoa, you know what? Let me go ahead and hide myself. I'm actually in a hidden spot right now. I'm intentionally hiding myself. And the more I do, the more it's like people try to find me. But it's a healthy place to be when you thirst for Yahweh and He begins pouring into you and He begins quenching that thirst. The funny thing is, although your thirst grows, you'll never be thirsty again. I know it sounds weird, like, how will I never be thirsty again if my thirst has enlarged? He is enough. That's how. He is enough. There's so much of Him that your thirst can never grow to a point where He can't quench it. Never, not one time. Try Him. Try Him. The more you seek Him out, because He moves, y'all. I know that we like to think of Him as being this stationary being that floats up in the clouds and looks down. And nope, His Ruach is in this world, and His Ruach is moving like the wind. No one knows where His Ruach comes from or where His Ruach is going. His Ruach is in this earth, moving in and through His children. And Ruach HaKodesh is not just in and through His children. Ruach HaKodesh is everywhere. Ruach HaKodesh is not a new aspect of Yahweh. He has always been here, working in and through people. But my point is, He's moving. And my prayer for all of us tonight is that we stay in step with Ruach HaKodesh, not going before Him, not falling behind Him, but we flow with Him so that our thirst can continuously be quenched and that our focus will be solely on Yahweh so that everything else can fall into place as it needs to in our life according to His will, not our own, His will. I guarantee you it will be the best decision you've ever made in your entire life. All right, you guys. Not a long podcast. I don't want these to be exceedingly long where it's like you're listening to a full-on monologue of the past 38 years of my life. I want this to be something that everybody can relate to, that everybody can benefit from. But I also understand that we all have short attention spans thanks to the internet and social media. Scroll. All right. But anyway, so become thirsty. And here's the thing. Before I leave, I just want to say this. You can actually ask Yahweh to make you thirsty for Him, and He will do that. I prayed that prayer, and then I found myself one morning getting up to do Bible study. And this is like, it was like 10 that I started the Bible study, right? By like 5 and 6 o'clock that afternoon, I was still doing Bible study. I knew I should eat. I knew I should do other things, but I couldn't stop. I was enjoying my time with Him. In the past, I used to force myself to do Bible study like that. Like my mind would wander, like, oh, I need to go to the grocery store. Oh, I need to go do this. But I hear Him telling me to read this right now. But this time it was like, oh, I don't want to stop. And then, friends would call me and they would be like, oh, can you talk for a minute? In the back of my mind, I'm like, but I really want to finish reading this chapter. But I mean, I would still be a good friend and I would still talk to them. I'm not saying that, but I just want you guys to understand, like, He will answer that prayer. Like, these are the things that He wants us to ask for. He said if we delight ourselves in him, he will give us the desires of our hearts, meaning that if we make him our delight, then our desires will become what he desires, and therefore he will give us the desires of our hearts because they're aligned with his desires. Leaving it at that, I love you all. Hope you're having an amazing day. Hope that tomorrow is an even more amazing day and that you begin to thirst for Yahweh. All right. Until next time.